G'day, how you going? If you're looking to hang something on a wall that weighs a bit more than 10 kilos, what you want to do is you want to find a stud. So I'm just going to go through the four main ways I use to find a stud in a wall. Here we go. Option one, which is my favorite method, is this strong magnet area. I think maybe $10 or $15 from a hardware store, not too hard to find. And what they do is they find a screw or a nail that was used to fix your plaster to the studs. So here's a very rough example of what's going on behind your wall. We've got the plaster sheet, should have a rebate up here, and the screws. Your plaster will be screwed top and bottom, maybe one or two screws throughout the middle. You want to find where your rebate is, which will generally be $1,200 or $1,350 from the top or the bottom. So from your ceiling or from the floor. We're going to hang some cabinets on this wall. Those cabinets are going to be holding more than 10 kilos worth of weight. So we really want to fix them back onto some studs. Now, I've got my trusty magnet, my favorite method. We go up and down and side to side, roughly where we think the plaster will be fixed back to the wall. Up and down, side to, oh, bang, there we go. That is a nail into a stud. Mark that with some chalk because we've got a sweet chalkboard here. Option two is a stud finder. To be perfectly honest, this is the least common method I use. You want to hold it on your wall, you want to push the button and hold it, and then slowly slide it across. And there we go, we found a stud, and as our magnet shows, that is where a stud is. Now this can do things like this. I don't know, that's why I don't like them. We go down here. There we go, that's our stud. Option three is the tap test, where you tap the wall and it's hollow, and then when you find a stud, it'll be a little bit more dense, the sound. So you tap the wall, it just sounds a little bit more dense, a little solid, and this is more echoey. Once you've found that, we know where our cabinets are going to go. Our cabinets are going to go around this area. So I can put a couple of holes in this wall to make sure that I've found a stud, and also make sure that I find the full width of the stud so that when I put my screw in, it's in the middle of the stud. Okay, the next tools we want are our small nail and a hammer. Now we're going to tap it in, and you can feel the resistance of a stud. Now we'll pull that nail out very carefully not to dint our plaster. Now we're going to move about 15 mil across. Still hitting a stud there, that's great. Now we want to move just a little bit more, say 5 mil. Okay, so that's missed the stud because I can push it. So I know that that's the edge of my stud. I will mark that and I'll put a cross indicating where the stud is, and I'll also break the chalk. There we go, that's our stud. Now, we use a pencil and our tape measure. We know that a stud is going to be 35 or 45 mil wide. So we can come across 10, 20, 35, and there's our stud, right there. So the reason I use a tiny nail to try and find my studs, or to confirm my studs, is because if you don't find a stud where you thought a stud was, you can just fill that hole with a little bit of white filler if the walls are white, and generally you don't even have to paint it and you won't even see that it was there. So because our cabinets are going to be going across this wall a fair way, from there we want to find more studs. Now our studs in Australia are usually 450 mil on center. So from the center of that stud, I will mark across 450. And that should give me another stud. And we can use our magnet again just to double check. There we go, right on it, perfect. So once we've found our stud, which is up there, which, full disclosure, took me quite a while because that is not generally where plaster's fixed to a wall, it's usually in the middle of the wall. Anyway, so we found our stud, and we'll use a level to plumb down because our studs are usually in relatively plumb. So we can do that, mark it down here, and now we've got a reference to our stud all the way down the wall. And as I said before, I'd get my nail and my hammer and I'd tap the nail in there where I'm going to fix the cabinet to make sure I'm hitting a stud. So whenever you're fixing something into a wall, you've got to be mindful of what's inside the wall. Things that might be in the wall would be electrical cables. You definitely do not want to hit under them with a screw, and water pipes. Now, old school water pipes used to be copper. That was a pretty safe bet to find one of those because it's metal and the magnet will find it and your stud finder picks it up. The PVC pipe, or the plastic pipes that we use now, they're a little bit harder to find. Generally, if you've got good trades, they'll run those through the middle. So our studs are 90mm wide, which means you've got 10mm of plaster and then roughly, say, 25mm of timber to hit before you should hit anything. So try and use the right size screw to make sure you're not going too far into your stud. So if you are using the stud finder, it does have a little AC section on it and it'll beep when it finds the AC cable. I find them a bit hit and miss, but you know, better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so once you've found your stud and you're ready to hang your cabinets or your picture, in this case, I'm going to get the right fixing for my picture, which is a small nail. I'm going to tap it into the middle of the stud. I'm going to tap it in on a bit of an angle. That's a solid sound. Rightio, here we go. I'm going to pick up my very heavy, over 10 kilo picture of an excellent cat. It's a beautiful. Hang it on the wall. Make sure it's nice and level. Job done.